السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته إن الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعد أما بعد قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم صلوا كما رأيتموني أصلي رواه البخاري. Today inshallah we will discuss few common mistakes which brothers and sisters they have in their salah, in their prayers. As we know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam he ordered us that we must pray as we have seen Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam praying. So this is really important that we make our salawat as per the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And these common mistakes which we will discuss today, most of them are major mistakes as well. Like some of them, they are so serious that they invalidate the salah. So it's really concerning that they are serious mistakes. They can invalidate the salah. At the same time, they are very common. So the first common mistake and common problem among people is that they delay their salawat. They become lazy. So they offer their salah after its time. And sometime it could be that out of ignorance, they may offer before time as well. As sometimes people, they may think that I may miss Zohar Salah today, so I should pray it now, and it's not even Zohar start time maybe. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Inna salata kanat ala al-mu'minina kitaban mawquta, that indeed the salah, the prayer has been made obligatory on mu'minun, on believers, on specified times. Salah is supposed to be performed on a specific times, and it's not allowed that you offer your salawat before or after the prescribed time. So most of the brothers, especially not women or sisters, most of the time sisters, they make sure to pray on time. But brothers, when they stay behind from salawat in jama'ah, in congregation, from jama'at in masjid, then they start becoming lazy more and more day by day. So this is really important that we need to understand that this is not an acceptable practice that a brother, they are praying, for example, Zohar and Asr in Maghrib's time, for example. So this is really important that we need to make sure that we offer our salawat in their prescribed times. And the best thing is to offer them in the earliest time, as it has been mentioned in a hadith. Second common mistake is, and it would cover many parts of salah, is hastening and being quick in offering salawat. Unfortunately, from childhood, when we learn over salah and we make it over practice to offer over salawat very quickly, then it becomes a bad habit. So much so that sometimes it becomes very difficult for brothers and sisters to get rid of that bad habit. And this is so serious mistakes that one of those serious, mistakes which invalidate the salah. Because if salah is not on a specific pace at least, and if somebody is too quick in offering his salah, so much so that he is not offering his individual parts of salah with the content and with a specific pace slowly, then it invalidates the salah. There is a famous hadith in this regard from Sahih al-Bukhari. I have given the reference there as well. If brothers, they can see, want to check the, these numbers, everything. So Abu Huraira radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he says that a person entered the masjid, dakhal al-masjida yusalli, and he started offering his prayer. Wa Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam fi nahiyatil masjid. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was in one corner of the masjid. Faja'a, so he offered his prayer and then he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam fasallama alayhi. And he said assalamu alaikum to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to him, irji fasalli fa innaka lam tusalli. Go back, you offer your prayer because you didn't pray. He went back, he prayed again, he came back, he said salam again, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam responded to his salam, wa alaikum salam, and he said to him, go back and offer your prayer again because you didn't pray. So third time he said, that person said, alim, O Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tell me how should I offer my prayer. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to him, idha kumta ila salati fa asbighil wudu. When you stand for your prayer, do your wudu properly, thoroughly. So first thing we can see in this hadith is that for the acceptance of and for the validation of salah, this is a fundamental requirement that a person performs his wudu properly, thoroughly. No like, body parts of wudu should be like dry, or there shouldn't be anything where you haven't performed your wudu thoroughly. So first condition is that wudu must be performed thoroughly. And this is a common mistake that people, they don't perform their wudu properly and thoroughly, and some of their parts maybe stay dry. And then summa staqbil al-qibla, and then of course facing the qibla is important and obligatory. Fakabbir, and then say Allahu Akbar. Waqra bima tayassara ma'aka min al-Quran, and whatever is easier for you, read from the Quran. And the easiest part is Surah Al-Fatiha. So read Surah Al-Fatiha, and after that read some bit more. Summarka. Now here the problem, the which we are going to mention in this point, starts with people, that people, when they are in hurry and they are offering quickly, then they don't follow this command of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said, Summarka hatta tatma'inna rakiyan. Go to ruku and settle in ruku. Unless you are settled in your ruku, you are there with itminan, you stay there. Once you have settled in your ruku, summa rafa rasaka, then raise your head, stand up from ruku. After that, hatta ta'tadila qa'iman, until you are standing straight. So stay in that straight position, you settle there, and then go to sajda. Summa hatta tatma'inna sajidan, until you are settled and content in your sujood. Summa rafa, then you raise your head hatta tastawiya, until you sit straight between two sajdas. And we know we read Rabbil Filli there. But settle there as well. Watatma inna jalisa. This is between two sujood. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, be content and be settled there, sitting between two sujood. Just imagine how brothers and sometimes some imams, they go, how they behave between two sajdas. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. This is against this clear ruling. وَتَطْمَئِنَّ جَالِسًا, between two sujood, sit properly, settle there, then do sajda, second sajda, hatta tatma'inna sajida, until you are in that sajda, in second sajda, you settle there, you stay there. Summa rafa hatta tastawiya qa'iman, and then you raise your head, and then of course you will stand for second rak'ah properly. Summa fal zalika fi salatika kulliha, and then do like this throughout your salah. Like your salah, all arkan in your salah should be with contentment, and you are settled in every rukan, in every place. So this is really important, that if a person continues with this common mistake, that he is really quick in his salah and he is not settling in each and every part of salah, then his salah becomes invalid, and this salah is not acceptable. Then third mistake is making verbal intention. And this is a bid'ah, this is an innovation, that a person going to start his salah and he starts saying, I'm intending for this salah, this is 4 rakah salah, and I'm facing the qibla, I'm behind the imam. So much so, different things which a person utters with his tongue, or he repeats it maybe slowly or silently. So intention is the action of the heart. Intention is what you think. So when you come to masjid, for example, It's already your intention, and the intention is there that you are going to pray. So that is the intention. Making verbal intentions is innovation and has nothing to do with Sharia. Next common mistake is having mistakes in the pronunciation of Surah Al-Fatiha. Of course, when whatever we recite or read from the du'as in our salawat, in our prayers, we should make sure that there is no errors or problems in tajweed or pronunciation of those words. But the most important among them is Surah Al-Fatiha. As we know that Surah Al-Fatiha is the rukn of Salah, and recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha is obligatory, is a rukn for everybody, whether they are behind the Imam, whether they are alone, whether they are Imam themselves, and whether it's sirri or jahri, whether it's a silent rakah or prayer, or whether it's a rakah where you recite loud or Imam recites loud. So this is required from everybody. When this is a requirement, then it becomes really important for us that we make sure that we learn this simplest and easiest part of the Quran. We should learn it properly. So everybody should make sure that they recite Surah Al-Fatiha properly with good pronunciation. And then one common mistake is that sometimes some brothers, they read loud behind the Imam, and they create problem for the Imam. Imam can hear that somebody is reciting behind. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prohibited his companions from that. So reading behind Imam, whether you are reciting something from the Quran, or like reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, or reading Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. So a person should not be loud in that. A muqtadi who is fall behind the Imam, he should not be loud in those things, because he will create issues for his fellow muqtadis or for the Imam himself either. So, and sometimes somebody may be saying Allahu Akbar loud. So again, these things, they create a tashwish and a problem for Imam or for other muqtadis. So muqtadis, they are supposed to be silent, and only thing which they are going to say loud is Ameen. And again, when they say Ameen loud, it should be it should coincide with the Ameen of Imam, not before Imam, not after Imam, with Imam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that when Imam says Ameen, you say Ameen, because Malaika, they say Ameen as well, and whoever his Ameen coincides with the Ameen of Malaika, the angels, he will be forgiven. So this is really important, that when Imam says Ameen, Muqtadi, they should say Ameen in a certain level of sound, where Muqtadi, they should not be too loud as well. Or sometimes some people, they stretch it too long than the others. So it should be in congregation, like all people, they are saying Ameen together, similar sound and similar length. So this is really important, that brothers, they need to note down this point as well, that they are supposed to say Ameen along with Imam. They shouldn't start before Imam, and they shouldn't end after Imam. And I was mentioning that it should not be loud behind Imam. And when Imam is reciting loud, then we are supposed to read Surah Al-Fatiha behind Imam silently. But other than Surah Al-Fatiha, it's not allowed to recite even silently. So for example, sometimes brothers, they have been seen, and this is out of ignorance, that Imam is reading loudly. Imam read Surah Al-Fatiha, for example, they recited behind Imam silently. Fair enough, good, this was required. After that, for example, Imam started some surah. For example, Imam started Surah Was-Samai Wa-Tariq, and you know the surah. So if you start reciting behind him, that's a mistake, because it's not allowed to recite behind Imam when he is reciting loudly anything other than Surah Al-Fatiha. But if Imam is in third rakah or fourth rakah, for example, or in the first or second rakah of Zohar Salah, then you can recite more than Surah Al-Fatiha as well when Imam is reciting silently. Next mistake is for those people who missed some of the salah. And what they do, they come to masjid, Imam is, for example, already in ruku. You come to Imam and you join him. So maybe you don't know, that's why you don't make intention that first you are saying Allahu Akbar for entering the salah. Salah, if you want to enter the salah, you are supposed to say Takbiratul Tahreem, which we say in the beginning of salah, Allahu Akbar. So if you miss that one, your salah didn't start. So that's why this is really important that brothers and sisters, they must know that whenever they come to salah, they are supposed to start their salah with Allahu Akbar, with Takbiratul Tahreem. And if you miss that, then you missed your salah and salah didn't start at all. Next mistake is, and this is unfortunately really common, that people, they don't wear proper dresses. Modern dresses with like pants and different type of jeans and different type of material designs, they become a reason for the uncovering of aura. The compulsory parts of body which must be covered in salawat, they become naked and uncovered in salah. And what happens that brothers, they go to sajda and their back is becoming uncovered. People, they can see. So this is really important to understand for brothers, that for salah, the aura, the body parts which must be covered for men, is that from belly button to their knees, this is something which must be covered. And if some of it becomes uncovered, that would invalidate the salah if you know that this is happening. And when I say you know, is that when you know that this is common with these type of dress, that there is a chance, it's normal for such dress to cause this issue of uncovering of your private body part, then you cannot make this excuse that you didn't know, because it's normal. This would be expected from this type of dress, that your body from behind will become uncovered, so it will invalidate the salah. And then covering the shoulders is required as well. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and this is for men, that salah is not valid if your shoulders are not covered. So if somebody is wearing something sleeveless, a man wearing some sleeveless vest, his salah will not be valid. Shoulders must be covered at least. Now, what happens that in summer, some brothers, they start wearing shorts where they barely cover uh, um, uh, their knees. They barely cover their knees. Now, the problem is when they go to sajda, then, or they go to ruku, or when they go to sajda, then their thighs, some part of their thighs can become uncovered, which would invalidate the salah. This is one issue. The other issue is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that libas, the dress of a believer, of a moment, is up to half of shin. So even though the strict aura is up to the knee, but this is not a good practice for a believer, that he is wearing some clothes which is just up to the knee. Rather, the normal practice, the standard practice for a believer is that his libas, his lower garment, should go at least up to middle of the shin. And then from middle of the shin, if you want to take it little bit lower, then you can take it bit lower, so that it stays above the ankle, because below ankle, that is prohibited for men as well. So that's why for brothers, this is really important, that when they wear clothing, they should make sure that they have casual clothing which is reasonable, good clothing, and they should not be in such a dress which uncovers their body, or in such libas or dress which is not suitable for masjid or for prayer. And for sisters, there are some issues for sisters as well. Sisters supposed to cover, they are supposed to cover their whole body other than their hands and their face, or the soles of their feet, they could be uncovered as well. So sisters, they need to make sure that their hair are covered and their body parts, they are covered properly, like their forearms should not be uncovered in Salah, and their feet, upper part of feet, and at least, this is a there be a little bit, uh, discussion there, but it's better that their feet, the upper part of their feet, they are covered. And then uh, another mistake is that, especially for manual workers, that they come to masjid and they are praying in dirty clothes. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says in the Quran, "Khudu zinatakum inda kulli masjid," that when you go to masjid, you should be in good clothes. And you should beautify yourself when you go to masjid. So this is really important, that we should not take it easy that we are praying in dirty clothes. Sometimes it could be something so impure that could invalidate the salah. Next mistake is really serious, and that is preceding the imam instead of following. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Innama ju'ila al-imamu liyutamma bihi." Imam is there so that you follow. So if you go to every action of salah before imam, then you are not following the imam. So brothers, sometimes they are in so much hurry that they are just guessing that imam is going to go to ruku. Straight away, imam may not even had said Allahu Akbar properly, and imam is slowly going to ruku, and they went to ruku before imam. They go to sajda before imam. This is so serious that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and this is from Sahih al-Bukhari, that ama yakhsha ahadukum aw la yakhsha ahadukum idha rafa rasahu qabla al-imam, that isn't he who raises his head before the imam, like imam is in sajda and he raises the somebody behind imam, they raise their head from sajda before imam. Don't they fear from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that because of their action, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may transform his head into the head of a donkey. So this is so serious, and this is like such a major sin that it could become a reason for immediate punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that his face may be disfigured, and his face, they may become like the face of a donkey. So just imagine that this is so serious, and this would invalidate the salah as well. So this is really important, that we must follow the imam, that we should let imam say Allahu Akbar properly. And if we are watching imam, as it is mentioned in another hadith, that Sahaba, they say that we used to go to sajda. Once Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his nose used to touch the ground, his face used to touch the ground. So just imagine you are standing behind imam after ruku, imam is going to sajda. Don't start moving your back, don't start going towards sajda until imam is fully on the ground for sajda. This is the way how to do follow imam. At the same time, we should not lag behind imam. Sometimes brothers, what they do, they become so lazy that imam is went to sajda and they are standing. Whole jamaat is in sajda, they are standing. And then sometimes what happens, some people, and this is again something against the sunnah. First, I would mention this, that in salah, your sujood should be of the similar length. Similar time you are giving to sajda. This is a practice against the sunnah, and there is no basis in sunnah for this practice, that some people, they do the last sajda of salah, like they are offering 4 rakah, for example, and there are 8 sujood in that. And in the sajda number 8, the last sajda before last tashahhud, they prolong that sajda. This is against the sunnah. No basis in sunnah to prolonging that specific sajda. So this is one mistake. Some imams, they may be doing this as well. That's wrong as well. But some people, because they have this bad practice, They are so much stuck into this practice that they are offering their prayer behind Imam. And an Imam, rightfully, he did this last sajda of the equal length of other sujood. So what they do, they continue in sajda. Imam sat in tashahud and they are still in sajda. This is a major mistake. This is a serious mistake. Imam is there to be followed. So Muqtadi, the people who are behind Imam, they are supposed to follow him in a reasonable manner. When Imam says Allahu Akbar from sajda and he sat in tashahud, it's not allowed for Muqtadi to continue in his du'as in his sajda. Rather, he is supposed to raise his hand and follow the Imam in tashahud. Next common mistake from a musallin is that somebody is offering his prayer and you have finished your prayer and you want to leave the masjid, or you are entering the masjid, somebody is praying and you cross in front of musalli. Sometimes what happens that people, they are in the front row, they stand up and they start walking in front of those people who are still offering their prayer. This is a very serious and major sin. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, "Law ya'lamul marru bayna yadayil musalli, mada alayhi." If the person who passes and crosses in front of another person in prayer knew the seriousness of the sin, that how great sin it is, or how major sin is this, then lakana yaqifa arba'in. He would prefer to stand there and wait for 40 days or months or years. The narrator couldn't remember properly that whether Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said 40 days or 40 months or 40 years. Let's take the less number, which is 40 days. So one person would prefer to wait 40 days rather than passing in front of that person. This is so serious sin. Sometimes we cannot wait for a couple of minutes and we just violate his prayer and we go in front of that person. But just imagine, even if we have to wait for 40 days or 40 months, if we really know the sin for this activity, then we would not have done it. So this is really important to understand. Then next mistake is in sujood. We have just mentioned earlier that in sujood you should settle in sujood. This is one aspect, that sujood should not be done quickly. But the second aspect is that it should be done properly as well. As Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that I have been ordered to do sajda on 7 bones. And what are those 7 bones? One is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said forehead. And when he was saying forehead, he was pointing towards his nose. So because he pointed towards his nose, so forehead includes the nose as well, that your forehead and nose should be touching the ground. Wa ashara biyadihi ala anfi wal yadayn. And then 2 hands should be touching the ground. Wa rukbatayn, and knees should be touching the ground. Wa atrafil qadamayn, and all toes of your feet should be touching the ground. So this is the requirement of sajda. Wala naktafi siyab wa shara, and you should not be gathering your and with regard to the clothes, you should not be gathering them, playing with them and collecting them. Let them go into sajda as well along with you on the ground. So, and with the hair as well. Some people, they put a pony on their hair. This is prohibited in sajda as well. So people, they should not be tying their hair in salah with like rubber bands or something like that. Now, this is the etiquette for sajda, that how your 7 bones should be touching the ground. And among those 7 bones, elbows are not there. So your elbows or your forearms should not be touching the ground. This is prohibited. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, whenever you do sajda in a balanced manner, and then you should not let your forearms lay down on the ground like a dog, because this is the position of dogs, that they lay down their forearms on the ground when they sit on the ground. So this is prohibited. And because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave this example of an animal which is considered impure, and which is an example to show that this is some disgusting activity, so this cannot be an activity which is recommended for women. So that's why this is baseless, and this is the wrong practice, that where some fuqaha, they ordered the women folk that they should do sajda in the same manner as a dog sits. So this is something which is not allowed for women either. And they should make sure as well that their forearms, they are not touching the ground. Next mistake is about those people, sometimes they make it their habit that they fix a place in masjid, and they try that every time they go to masjid, they pray in that specific place only. They fix that place, one corner, one place behind the imam, left, right, in second row, third row, first row. They fix a place and they stay there, they pray there, and then they go. This is prohibited. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said a person should not fix a place for him in masjid, just like some camel, because camels, they have this natural habit that they sit on one place. Whenever they come, they sit on the same place. So this is not the way to do that. So only imam has specific musalla. When he leads the prayer, he stands on the same place. Other than that, all musallin, they are supposed to pray on different places. So they should change their places, and they don't fix their places. And when we said that they should not fix their places, it comes into it as well that they should not become angry on other people, that I always sit on this place and now this brother is sitting on my place. That is against the etiquette of the masjid, and against the orders of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Next mistake, unfortunately, is a general mistake, and it becomes more serious in Salah. That is the mistake of people where they have their lower garments below their ankles. This is a major sin. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ma asfala min al-ka'bayn min al-izari fa finnar." That from the lower garment, whatever hangs below the ankles is in the hellfire. So when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions the fire with some sin, there is an indication that this is a major sin. So this is really important. In another hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that Allah will not on the day of judgment, Allah will not see out of anger towards the three people. Among them, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned a person who let his lower garment go below his ankles. So this is really important, that in Salah, how can we be in a state which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes angry on that state, which is a lowering garment below the ankle. So this is really important, that we make sure that our lower garment stays above ankles. And then unfortunately, the next mistake is done by many brothers who follow the sunnah as well, but at the same time, they become lazy in their efforts in their salah. And that is becoming lazy in performing Raful Yadain properly. They are doing Raful Yadain, they are just giving hand gestures. Hands are not going up to the shoulders. This is minimum, that hands must go at least towards the shoulders, and they can go a little bit higher as well, but at least they should go up to the shoulders. So doing Raful Yadain with just hand gestures, this is not acceptable practice, and this is a common mistake. And finally, we know that joining the shoulders and feet in congregational prayer, this is from the part of the Jama'ah and Salah. And even those people who agree with that shoulder should touch the shoulder of next brother and feet to feet is required in Salah, sometimes practically what happens that they join the feet first, and the result is that their shoulder, they are not joined and attached. So this is really important, that shoulder to shoulder is important as well, like feet to feet. So first, brothers, they should, and sisters, with sisters, they should join shoulder to shoulder, and then they should join feet to feet, so that they are joined and attached to each other properly, instead of spreading their legs too much, and which would and then they would end up feet to feet but not shoulder to shoulder. uh, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to correct our salawat, and we should try our best to get rid of these common mistakes. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين. If brothers they have any questions, they can ask on the group inshallah.